Today, our program is Roy Davis. He's the CEO of the Hicksville Hospital. He just come back from a cruise. He was telling me all about it, what a great time he had. And I asked him, is this going to be on the cruise or is this going to be something with the hospital? And he said something with the hospital. And so you'll have to listen to that. Everybody please welcome Roy.
Hi everybody. Just want to say thank you. Starting my 15th month here at the hospital tomorrow. Everybody's been very welcoming and supportive, and I really appreciate that. Biggest question I've always got asked since I've been here is, will the hospital be here? And we did a lot of changes in the last year, and for the positive. We did have almost a $5 million turnaround from the year before I got here, the team and I, to this last year we just finished. We saved about $1 million on expenses. That was, part of that's with our network with Ohio State. We were able to get their supply costs for drugs and supplies. We did close OB, and that saved us quite a bit of money. We also, when positions came open or people left, we either didn't fill them or we combined them with another person to be more efficient. With the when I got here, we had about 30 managers and 180 employees, so 6 to 1 is too low a ratio. So now we're kind of at that sweet spot. We're about 80 managers, so that gives us a good ratio on that. Other parts of the thing, we do bill a lot better. My background and Rob Gosha, our CFO's background, he was at Paulding for 18 years as our CFO, and then at Bryan for 3 years. So we've had extensive experience on building, proper coding, billing, negotiating with our insurance companies. Another part we do that doesn't get seen a lot is we work a lot with our government officials, from Governor DeWine's office to the state Medicaid. Marcy Capter, which is our new House of Representative, with the redistricting, she's going to be coming down for a tour of the place. She's very supportive of healthcare, and she'll help us get those big projects paid for through congressional budgeting. I've talked about Sherrod Brown before. He did get us that MRI machine, which we should have in place by summer. That's $1.5 million we didn't have to find. And then we keep building on these different relationships, and you know, Rob and I are both a little bit redneck, so we kind of get after people and get things done, because that's how we have to do it. So the $5 million turnaround, $1 million was savings, and then $4 million was increased revenue, which partly is people coming back after COVID. COVID kind of shut down hospitals for a couple of years. And then also much more efficient on getting the bills out the doors to the insurance companies, stuff like that. We're not doing a lot of big projects this year, but we are starting nuclear medicine, and everybody's like, what's nuclear medicine? So nuclear medicine is in the radiology department, and what it is you'll know more as a stress test, or they look at your gallbladder. So a nuclear med tech will come in and inject, it's a radionucleotide, and what it does is marks your red blood cells. It shows the blood flow. It's in your body and it's out in 3 hours, so it doesn't cause any side effects. And what that does is let us do more tests. That keeps leaving them for Fort Wayne, up to Bryan, stuff like that. We'll be able to keep them in the community. Plus, they'll be a lot faster. So if a patient needs surgery and they need cardiac clearance, we'll be able to get their stress tests and cleared the next day, stuff like that. So the main tests are the cardiac stress test. That's the one that is the busiest. And then your gallbladder, it's called a HIDA scan. What they do is they'll see if your gallbladder's all junked up with gallstones or fatty, or it's not flowing there. Our cancer patients won't have to travel to Fort Wayne. They can get their bone scans here. Then there's also different tests for swallowing. Does the stomach work correctly? Does the small intestine, large intestines? So it's going to be a huge benefit to our patients and ourselves. So we're excited about that. Spent the last year a lot on leadership development. When I got here, the turnover rate was about 40%. if you ran an organization, you can't be losing 2 out of every 5 employees a year. So in December, we got that down to 2%. So now we're starting able to not just show employees where the bathroom is and how to use their computer, but now we can do those different levels of customer service to keep those patients coming back and keep them satisfied. Strength of the hospital is definitely our physicians. We've got great family docs, we've got a great orthopedic surgeon, we've got a great general surgeon, and we're working to enhance the things around them. We did ask our auxiliary and foundation if they could come up with the money this year for us to get a DEXA scan. So that's, if you're female, you probably know what that is. It's a machine that does the bone density. You get about every 2 years. It's just one of those more things that the more we can keep here, the better. And we're trying, you know, we know who we are, we know what we do. We can't be doing risky things, and that's a safe thing that we can do here. So, does anybody have any questions?
You. I read an article this morning about Medicaid, and that the government had been paying a lot of Medicaid expenses during that crisis. Now they're pulling the money back, and they're also cutting funding to privately nonprofit hospitals, which Brian would be one of them. So I'm listening to how you are pulling Hicksville Hospital up. How does that affect you with the Medicaid issue and the government? And good for you getting Marcy Captor here, because the state is not providing a lot of funding, is it not?
So the state, half their budget is Medicaid. So they're
So they get it from the Fed.
right, and it's a mixture of, I think it's 90% federal, 10% state. So it gets complicated. So the pullback, how it affects Ohio with the Medicaid, what they did was expanded. So if you made more, you were eligible. So now they're taking it back to the traditional Medicaid rates. So in Ohio, it's going to be, I think, 1 out of every 4 Ohioans are on Medicaid. So 3 million people, 2.5 million people. It's going to reduce our state overall is 220,000, I think is the projection. So what that happens is those people go back to being self-paced, which is free care at a hospital. So it pushes the burden back on the hospitals.
You bet it does.
And those people, and that group of people will delay their care, so it becomes more, instead of being treated at the family doctor, now it's treated in an ER, an inpatient, things like that. So we're part of the Ohio Hospital Association, so they negotiate for us with the state. The good thing is, the guy that I used to coach in Little League football, my neighbor, where I used to live, is now the chair of the budget on healthcare for Ohio. So, you know, I think we got a good seat there. You know, who would thought 20 years ago coaching, I mean, I knew he was going to be a great football player, but who knew he'd be one of the top 3 or 4 Republicans in the state. So his name's Jay Edwards, so you'll be seeing his name a lot. And he doesn't cover our district, but I'm going to lean on that relationship to make sure we're heard. What was the other question? Medicaid reduction.
Yeah, Medicaid reduction, and I also know insurance companies are more hesitant to pay. You can't keep throwing the bills at them.
Well, the good thing about Community Memorial Hospital, we were never good at billing until recently. So we are going to negotiate a lot better rates with all the insurance companies. Everybody else, like Brian and stuff, will kind of maximize, optimize everything. We're about 80% of where we can be. So we got a bright future. This coming year is going to be our first profitable year at the hospital for at least 20 years. So, and that's at worst case projections. When we project, we do worst case, best case. And that's worst case is we're going to be about a 4% operating margin, which is profit margin, regular business, up to about a 15%. So all the changes we put in place, and it's just not me coming in, it's, you know, it's the team getting the right people. We do, you know, I talked about Rob earlier, but we hired Amanda Rose. She was the director of finance at Van Wert, 15 years experience. Brought her in, she's cleaned up all that. We have a billing company we do use. They have 28,000 employees, so we're able to bill much better. Things like that. So we had to use inside resources and outside resources. So, you know, when I say lean on my prior relationships, I've leaned on every single one of them for the last 30 years. But the future's quite bright there. You know, we got a goal inside of hitting a 5% profit every year. And that's after you replace equipment, give pay raises, stuff like that. And what we're doing is we're going to build up our savings account, our rainy day fund, cash on hand, stuff like that, which is a big shock to the system because it was a cash-based business before we got there. And, you know, cash-based business is the same as a 20-year-old in college. They pay the bills when they get the cash. And we've had to build a budget. We've had to do a lot of things to get it to function correctly as a business and hospital. But we are definitely excited about the future.
Do you share physicians with other hospitals?
We do. We can't afford some of these big ones, like full-time. So like cardiologists in Parkview, we have them one day, and then they're gonna add a second day to do device checks, which is pacemakers, defibrillators. Because what they're finding is our patients aren't traveling to Fort Wayne to get these devices checked. So they found a way to improve the patient care. We do have a back surgeon that comes from Parkview, very well respected. A couple of urologists come over from Van Wert. And then we have an oncology hematology group that comes from Fort Wayne. And the good thing about them is they're independent. They don't have in healthcare we call it a mothership to feed, like Parkview and DuPont, everything needs to go back there. So.
Are you owned by Parkview?
No, we're township then, so the 3 townships own us.
You're nonprofit?
Nonprofit, independent.
And are you in a consortium with other small hospitals?
There's several consortiums we're in. We're in a township consortium of township-owned hospitals. There's only 5 of us left, maybe 4 by the end of the year. Ohio State Health Network, that's a huge one we're in. Our buying power went from about $3 million a year on supplies to about $12 billion. So our discounts have been quite steep, about 30 cents on the dollar for saving on items. Ohio Hospital Association, we talked about that. And we are working with other hospitals. We got some meetings coming up to share costs. Paulding, Henry County. I don't think Brian wants involved in that. And there's a couple other small hospitals. But the things on the back end you can save on, malpractice insurance, HR costs, all those things that are just huge drags on small hospitals, we can share that burden. So.
I used to live over there, and about in the middle of the night, I'd hear that helicopter go over. Does it still pretty much go pretty regular over there?
Yeah, about 5 times a week.
I used to take the kids down there so they could watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Parkview. We are working closer with Lutheran. They did get a new C.E.O. at their DuPont facility. So when we did close OB, they were able to move over their neonatal intensive care ambulances and their mom ambulances to the DuPont hospital. So that's only about a 24-minute drive for them now. They do education with us. And we are talking to them about a pulmonary service line to where, you know, it's probably our #1 disease for this part of the county is lung disease, COPD, stuff like that. So, yeah, just those relationships, we just got to be really particular and know what we can be and can't. We can't bring on $1 million thoracic surgeon, but we can definitely have one for 4 days or 4 hours a week.
What insurance companies would be honored? Like say if you lived in Bryan and you wanted to come to Hicksville, is there some kind of unwritten code of insurance companies that you honor, or how does that work?
No, sometimes the insurance companies will make a special deal with a hospital. Like if you send all your employees there, then they'll give you like 10% off or whatever. But any insurance will come here. Like,
A lot of gals from Bryan go to Defiance to have their baby with ProMedica, and they say, well, my insurance covers it there, so.
right, so that's a good example. People will make that deal.
The ProMedica owns a lot of insurance companies.
Yeah. They literally own the insurance company, yeah. No, that's a different level than what we're trying to do.
Got a question for you. For the doc, how much money do you need for your DOXY scan?
I think the price bill we got was like $45,000.
Oh, okay. And as far as your nuclear, the nuclear medicine, is that available now?
No, we just applied for the state license lapsed, so we just reapplied for it. So it's got a 60 to 90 day window.
Oh.
June 1st is our,
Is hopefully not.
to kick it all off, yeah.
You still think it, or do you believe it's an issue of people abusing the ER, people coming in the ER with cold or flu?
Any other community, I would say yes. Here, no. It's where I came from, Appalachia, very high Medicaid. Healthcare is free all the time. But people here are very cognizant of how they spend their healthcare dollars. ER is usually very sick. People come. We do have an urgent care, we call it an after-hours clinic, and that it's set up just like a family practice, whatever your copay there is. So a lot of people do use that, but it's a whole different world from what grew up in, you know. Smoking, alcoholism, all the patients, obesity. Up here, it's, and we're thankful for Dr. Garhouse, but it's a lot of just hard work injuries, arthritis, joints wore out. Yeah, it's a whole different.
I got a question. Just with insurance and healthcare and things trending the way they are in this kind of pattern, do you see this the next 5, 10, 20 years? Do you see a major overhaul with insurance and healthcare? And you have to me, the baby boomers, they're getting to be the elderly population anymore.
Yeah, something will have to be done. It's going to bankrupt the federal government. You know, we talked about Anthem earlier today. Anthem's CEO, just for the state of Ohio, his bonus check was bigger than the entire revenue of our hospital for 1 year. So, you know, they have 2 jobs, deny and delay, and yeah, so there definitely needs to be some changes to the whole system. I don't have the answers, but I did, I wouldn't have to work.
I just wanted to say thank you, Roy. I'm so thankful you and the people, our fathers and grandfathers and everybody down the line, that we even have a hospital in Hicksville, number one. And to have a hospital that is such a good hospital, attractive and everything else. And I'm just thankful for all the work that all of you do that we're able to have a hospital here.
Yeah, it's really a great team. I mean, it's, you know, everybody brings their skill set there, and they bring their passion to make things better. We just had our Employee of the Year. She's going down to Columbus to be recognized also. But her job is pre-authorization of insurance claims for rehab. Doesn't that sound fun? But she owns that hospital, and she makes sure every one of them. And Kelly Brown, she's been lived here forever. But if you know her, man, she gets on that phone and she fights with them people, and half the insurance companies don't even have US-based call centers. So you're speaking to someone from India, the Philippines, but she just gets right after them, and she takes complete pride in that. So, yeah. It's great.
Special thanks to you, Roy, for that presentation. Nuclear medicine, you know, when I had my gallbladder, this was back in '86, they shot me full of something radioactive and traced it around.
Still in you.
It could be.
You didn't leave it in 3 hours.
So anyway,